To program the MTX or MRX processors, you need to connect to a PC that is running the free-to-download MTX-MRX Editor software. The connection is made using a Cat5 Ethernet cable. Products in Yamaha's CIS range have a variety of network connectors depending on their specification. The MTX3 has a single network port to connect to a PC, whilst the MTX5D and MRX7 share the network port with a Dante port, so both control and Dante data is flowing through the same connection. This also applies to the Dante-enabled XMV amplifiers. With Dante-enabled devices, you should use the primary port to connect to your PC. Because the MTX5D and MRX7D use the primary and secondary Dante ports to connect to the computer, they can be connected in a daisy chain for programming. The MTX3, however, uses a single network port to connect to a computer. So, if you're using more than one MTX3, you'll have to connect via a network switch. Your PC and the connected devices must all have a unique IP address assigned. You can use fixed IP addresses or allow a DHCP server to assign IP addresses for you. If you're using a fixed IP address, we firstly recommend that your PC is set to 192.168.0.253. Then, for the other devices, the unit ID that is given by the configuration wizard will determine the last digit for each unit's IP address. For example, 192.168.0 unit ID. If you're using a device connected via Dante within the fixed IP network, then the unit ID will decide the IP address of the control port, and the Dante network will automatically assign an address for the Dante port. Remember that you will also have to assign fixed IP addresses for any wireless devices you have connected, such as an iPhone running wireless DHCP apps. Using auto DHCP to assign IP addresses can make the process much simpler. With all devices connected via a gigabit switch, including a DHCP server, they will all automatically be assigned a unique IP address. And any wireless device running apps, such as wireless DCP or Provisionaire Touch, for example, will also be automatically assigned an address. Remember, if you're using a DHCP server to assign addresses, you must make sure that the dip switch 6 on the back of each of these devices is set to down. Once your connections are made, the main project window in MTX Editor should look like this. You'll see I've connected a number of devices, including MTX, MRX, and amplifiers, to show you how it might look. If we click on the System Network Setup, we can check that the correct PC network card is being used to connect to the devices. Always confirm this if you've made any connection changes, such as fixed IP to auto DHCP. Also, under System Device Information, we can see the current firmware versions of devices in the system. Again, it's important that these match the version of MTX Editor that you're using, otherwise the system won't work. The editor is good at recognizing if there's a mismatch, and the device will highlight in red to warn you, and a message will appear. There's a separate video in this range to show you how to update the firmware. Once you've completed this configuration, and providing your cabling, IDs and firmware versions are all correct, the devices in your system should appear with a green light next to them. You can identify them by clicking the little box, and they'll flash on the front panel and display their individual ID number in the small screen. If they're semi-transparent, they may not be connected to the network, or they may have the wrong ID number. When it's time for some troubleshooting, it could simply be a faulty cable.